So the word indifferent, well, to be indifferent means to literally have zero feelings, to have no feelings one way or the other. Now, we can look at the word indifferent as a neutral word, like, I don't really care what he does, or I don't really care what's going on over there. I'm going to just do me. So, at first glance, being indifferent is not necessarily a bad thing. It's like, hey, I'm just going to do my own thing. I'm not going to worry about other people's drama. I'm just going to keep to myself. However, being indifferent or having no emotion or no feelings about something that's really bad is not a positive or even neutral quality. Let me give you an example. If my best friend's mom dies and I am completely indifferent, meaning I have no feelings about it, I'm void of emotion, that would be really awful. I should have feelings. I should feel sympathetic. I should feel awful and bad for my friend and be supportive. So being indifferent is not as great as it seems. I want to read to you what Elie Wiesel says about being indifferent in his speech. Can one possibly view indifference as a virtue? It is necessary at times to practice it simply to keep one's sanity, live normally, enjoy a fine meal and a glass of wine, as the world around us experiences harrowing and upheavals. Of course, indifference can be tempting. More than that, seductive. It is so much easier to look away from victims. It is so much easier to avoid such rude interruptions to our work, our dreams, our hopes. It is, after all, awkward, troublesome to be involved in another person's pain and despair. Yet, for the person who is indifferent, his or her neighbor are of no consequence, and therefore their lives are meaningless. Their hidden or even visible anguish is of no interest. Indifference reduces the other to an abstraction. So when we are indifferent to the pain and suffering of other people, it means we lack sympathy or concern for what they are going through. And that's an awful thing to feel or not feel. So today's assignment is to identify what Elie Wiesel's call to action is. Now, a call to action is asking people or your audience to stand for something. Sometimes a call to connect to action can be like a direct task. So, for example, sign this petition to, send my cause to Congress. But sometimes a call to action is simply to stand up and believe in something, to stand up and say something. So in this case, Elie Wiesel is asking his audience to feel a certain way. And he's asking them to stop being indifferent, to stop ignoring our neighbors, to stop thinking of the pain that other people are experiencing as the other, or as he said it, the abstraction. So I can give you an example, locally. If you have not lost a child, you might not understand what that feels like. Trayvon Martin's mom does. It would be easy to be indifferent because her emotions, she's the other, she's the abstraction. She doesn't affect my daily life because I don't know her. But being indifferent of Trayvon Martin's mother's emotions would be very negative. It would characterize me as an awful human being. And so Elie Wiesel is saying saying the same thing. He's asking his audience to stop being indifferent. He's hoping that our country and our world and our humanity is making a change for the good. So your task today is to really identify what that call to action is, and then find examples of this call to action. Because this call to action is not a direct task for the audience, finding evidence might be a little difficult. So when you look for evidence that suggests that we as a human race need to start caring about what is happening to other people. It is a simple value that we should have, but unfortunately, there are just too many historical events that suggest that we as a human race are still struggling to feel sympathy for the other. So think about this as you look for evidence to support that call to action, to be a human race that feels emotions for other people.